19 reasons to visit Australia. I'm Chris. This is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining, and I often get asked to do more videos on Australia. So today is a special episode because I'm going to be joined by guest host Ben from Melbourne, Australia. He'll be on here in just a second. But why is Ben on here? Well, he's from Australia and I am not. And so doing videos on Australia, it's kind of hard for me because Australia is far away from where I am. And Australia, it's basically on the other end of the earth from the US. Flights about 16 hours, so it is a pretty long way. And so, Ben, we're going to bring him on right now. I'm going to put on my headphones so that we can see each other. And Ben, welcome to the live stream.
Hey Chris, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm good to hear.
Pretty hot.
It is pretty hot. So what part of the world are you joining us from today?
The Southern Hemisphere, Melbourne to be exact.
Melbourne. And so, you know, we did a travel guide on this city. Yeah, and I always want to call it Melbourne, but how's it pronounced?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. All right.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay, well, hey, this is a live stream, so if you're on, leave comments, questions, things like that. We'll be asking them, and I'll also be giving away a prize, as typical for the live streams. Today, I'll be giving away a Yellow Production shirt, and I'll be asking you a question later about something we said earlier, so stay tuned for that. One lucky viewer will win. All right, so number one, the first reason to visit Australia is for kangaroos. I think kangaroos are amazing, and Australia is like the only place you can see them in the wild. They can reach speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, and they can clear more than 8 meters with a single leap. And Australia estimates that there's over 34 million kangaroos in Australia. But Ben, why are kangaroos so cool?
Actually, let's start off with 60 kilometers an hour. What's that in miles?
Ooh, that is really hard math. I don't know.
38?
That's too hard for me to do on a live stream.
Well, thanks for asking me about kangaroos. I know absolutely nothing about that animal. No, I know a few bits and pieces of what I've researched today. I have kangaroos that actually just live up the road from me. I live in the outskirts of Melbourne. Well, no, I'm in Melbourne. I live close enough to paddocks where there are kangaroos that run around, where they're wild, and they're all right. They stay out of the way. Sometimes they run onto the road, but you just have to avoid them. Now, Chris, do you know which is the biggest kangaroo in the world?
The biggest kangaroo? I don't know. Are there different types of kangaroos? I think it's like a kangaroo. No,
different sizes.
Yeah, what's the biggest kangaroo?
Well, the red kangaroo is the largest. They say it can grow up to about 1.6 meters tail to head. So that's pretty big. So 2 meters tall, I guess, if they're standing, and they're found in Western and Central Australia.
Is it true that kangaroos box? You know, because that sounds like if it's a big kangaroo, if I always got that perspective, he's going to box at me.
Actually, there was a kangaroo called Roger. He was called Roger the Ripped Kangaroo, and he recently passed away. If you look up Roger the Ripped Kangaroo on Google, you'll find that he's ripped. He's really strong, like me, and he was the most muscly marsupial in the world, apparently. So look him up if you have a chance.
He's got a cool name too. But isn't it like isn't it not that they box, but they have like big claws or something?
Big claws. Well, they got a huge claw on their toe. So on their foot, on their toe, it's huge. It's probably longer than your hand. And if that gets you from the sternum, which is here, I'm guessing. Is that the sternum, Chris?
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
See that?
Sure.
And
yes,
if you go all the way down to your belly button, so it once open a man that much.
Wow.
So right to there.
I think that'd be painful.
Yeah. So if you want, I can talk about a couple of other kangaroos just briefly.
Yeah, talk about them.
Yeah. All right. So we've got the eastern grey kangaroo, which is the second most common, I guess. I'm doing just the 5 most common or common-ish kangaroos. That stands at around 2 meters tall. It's slightly larger than the red kangaroo. The actual tallest kangaroo they've found of the eastern grey is about 3 meters, and that's found on the eastern seaboard in Queensland and northern Tasmania. So that's a big roo, and it's grey, so yeah, it can't be missed. What do you think of that one?
I think that's a big kangaroo. And when it's called Eastern Grey, is it actually like gray and like is the red one red and that one's
It's
gray?
grey. Yes. Yep. So the red one is like a burgundy nearly, or kind of like a dirty burgundy, kind of like
Interesting.
the tops I wear at night, dirty burgundy.
Hey,
Um,
we were talking about Melbourne, and I want to show people kind
yeah,
of
mate.
like a picture of your hometown. And so this is
Yeah,
Melbourne from the
sure.
sky. And I think a lot of people when they think of Australia think of like deserts and also kangaroos. I mean, there are them. But this is actually what a
Yeah.
city in Australia looks like. And as an American, when I went to Australia for the first time, I was expecting Crocodile Dundee. So like if somebody went to Melbourne, where would they see a kangaroo? Like how would they go find one?
Well, you'd have to go to a zoo, and we'll talk later about zoos. But you'd have to go to a zoo. Otherwise, you could drive out north of Melbourne, even like south or west, and I'm sure you'll hit a few stretches of land where you'll see kangaroos. They're pretty common. But here, where I live, you only find really the eastern greys.
Okay. Well, very cool. Hey, tell you what, let's go on to
Yeah.
number two. But before we do that, let's go
Sure.
to some of the comments. Let's see. What do we say? Eric says, "Hi, Chris. Have you been to Australia? Is it yes or is it no?" Um, yes, I have been to Australia, Eric. Um,
Maybe Eric was probably wondering what you think of it. Yes, like yeah, or no, it wasn't that good.
yeah, I like Australia. Australia's cool.
Thank
Chinmay
you.
Joshi asks a question: Can you hunt kangaroos?
Yeah, mm, that's kind of one of those questions. It's hard to answer because all the farmers that have issues with kangaroos would like to cull them and kill them, but the problem is that they can't eat the meat or skin the animal because we're not allowed to do that
You're not allowed to eat
unless
kangaroo
it's
meat?
like proper farmed, unless it's
Okay, but
farmed
not wild
kangaroo,
kangaroo meat.
like wild kangaroo. No, you can't shoot them. Yeah, you can't
Okay.
shoot them.
Mickey P asks, "What's your favorite food in Australia?"
Is that? Obviously, that's to me.
Yeah, I'll ask that to you.
Um, yeah, sure, sure. My favorite food in Australia would be. Phew, that's a good question because Australian food, there's no quintessential Australian food. Australian food is a mix of different varieties. So it can be Asian food, Middle Eastern food, English food, I guess, is like a meat pie, for instance, or a sausage roll. That's very Australian, but they're things you wouldn't eat every day. So I would say probably a meat pie, but I don't really eat them too much.
And
They're not
my
very good for you.
yeah, and my favorite food in Australia, and actually Ben and I we did like a Melbourne cheap eats video together, and there's a lot of Asian food in there. We'll actually talk about both Asian food and Australian food coming up in some of our other numbers. So stay tuned for that. Um,
Yeah, we do.
Oscar wants us to send a shout out
Yeah.
to his girlfriend Arlene. She's your number one fan. Hi, Arlene.
Hi, Arlene. Are you my number one fan or Chris's?
It's a good question. Uh, Alvin says, "Go for the Sydney tour." Yeah, we're going to talk about Sydney Harbor in one of
Yeah,
the
we'll be talking about Sydney. If anyone's wondering what I'm doing, I'm looking at my phone, looking at all the messages
comments. Good.
and comments.
Yeah, and Webby says, "Need to make an effort to get to the high country in Victoria." Brilliant. What's the high country in Victoria? Like, is that like the mountain ranges? Or what does that mean? What does that
Yeah,
mean,
it's the
high
mountain
country?
ranges.
Okay.
High country is the elevated landscape, like Falls Creek and Mount Buffalo, Mount Buller, Mount Cotham, all the mountains. Mount Buller, Mount Beauty. Yeah, just that area, the King Valley, all that area is the high country. It's really nice.
Philip Baker has a question. Meat pie? Question mark.
Meat pie, yeah, meat pies are good. They're just not very good to eat
Why
every
don't you
day.
describe a meat pie, Ben?
Okay, pastry on the outside and meat in the middle. Although a lot of a lot of parents would give old wives' tales saying that the meat was always it always had like rat's tails and odd little bits and pieces inside it because they didn't want the kids to eat the meat pies.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
So,
Not the ones with the rat's tails.
yeah,
But actually, yeah, like if you go
no,
to Australia and get like the meat pies, it's usually like a meat pie and like mashed potatoes and some gravy, and the meat might
yeah.
be like beef with a
Well,
gravy
yeah,
and
I
maybe
guess
some
so.
mushrooms.
Yeah,
And if you're in the
that's a
U.S.,
very nice meat pie.
yeah, you might be familiar with like a chicken pot pie, like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that. So Australian
Oh
equivalent,
yeah,
which I would say probably originates in the UK. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I agree. Actually, talking about strange meat pies that I've eaten, I've had a crocodile meat pie, and that was a creamy sauce. Because you're talking about sauces and stuff. It was a creamy sauce, but the crocodile tasted like chicken, Chris.
Crocodile
It
meat
didn't
pie.
taste.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've
it
never
was
had
delicious.
crocodile. Yeah. Question
Uh,
here from Vanessa's TV show. She asks, "What is a Vegemite sandwich?"
Vegemite sandwich. Well, Vegemite is a spread that you put on bread, and it's I don't know. Someone once told me it's the extract from, is it beer bitters, or it's something to do with the extract made from beer.
Interesting.
It's I don't know too much about Vegemite. All I know is it's tasty and it's got lots of vitamins and it's very salty, and Americans hate it.
Yeah. So you think Vegemite is tasty, Ben? Kevin David says Vegemite
Yeah.
is not so tasty.
Oh well, I think it's tasty because I grew up with it. But you have to put butter on the bread and then Vegemite, so then it's a bit tastier.
So bread? Do you toast the bread? Toast the bread, butter,
Yeah,
Vegemite.
you can
Yeah.
toast the bread.
All right.
Yep. Oh, that's you're getting me hungry.
Yeah. Uh,
Getting me hungry, Chris.
Captain Clam comes to the rescue and says it's beer hops extract.
That's the one. Cheers,
Yeah.
Captain.
And Shed Chick says crocodile is really good, but really expensive. All right, well, let's move on to number two. The second reason to visit Australia is for the weather. Australia, it's in the southern hemisphere, and so if you're someplace that it's winter and you're in the north, then in Australia, it is summertime, right? So, like December, which is like cold and snowy in New York City or in Europe, is hot and warm and sunny in most of Australia. And this is actually a flyover of Sydney. We're going to be talking more about Sydney Harbour right there. But Ben, what's the weather in Australia really like?
Well, yeah, I would say that the weather in Australia has its four seasons, obviously depending on what city you're in. If you're in far north Queensland, then it's a tropical climate. It's always going to be warm or wet. If you're in Melbourne, which is in the southeastern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, it will have its four seasons. It has summer, autumn, which is fall. It's got spring and winter, so it's got all the seasons. Also, Adelaide and Perth would have similar weather. Tassie has similar weather, but it's a little bit cooler in the summer. And Sydney has subtropical climate, and parts of New South Wales, where Sydney is inside. And the Australian Capital Territory, Canberra, would be a little bit cooler temperate because it's on a plateau. And Darwin, I can't miss Darwin. Oh,
Yeah,
Brisbane. Have I said all the cities?
I don't know. I have not been checking off all the cities in Australia, but I think that one of the things that I kind of had as a misperception when I went to Australia is that it's always
Yeah.
just hot and arid everywhere all the time. But
No.
certainly when I went to Melbourne, it was rainy and cold most of the time, which I would say I was probably not expecting. And actually, we're going to talk about snow in a little bit. I didn't really expect that Australia had snow. It's sort of this interesting view that is portrayed, say, through movies and media of
Yeah.
Australia to the rest of the world.
Well, that's Hollywood for you.
It is Hollywood.
They like to portray Australia as being this hot, arid place, but it's not. Oh well, it is. In the middle, it's really hot.
Yeah,
It's all
and
desert.
Justin Thomas says Melbourne has 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, sure does. Sure does. What he's trying to say is that you'll have the wind, you'll have the rain, you'll have the sun, you'll have the warmth at some stage, and it'll be back to cold again. So they say to always bring an umbrella when you're in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's a good tip. It seems to move in pretty quickly. Kind of like Say if you're in
It
like
does.
Hawaii or like the islands, like they can come and go pretty quick. Uh,
Oh
Devin
yeah,
Devin Duncan says he's moving to Australia. All right,
good on him.
that's
Where is he
excellent.
moving from?
Yeah, I don't know. Where are you moving from, Devin? Okay, let's go on to number 3. The third reason to visit Australia is for the beaches. Australia is home to some of the world's famous beaches, and actually Australia has
Yeah.
a ton of coastline, and so there's over 12,000 beaches in Australia. And there's great surfing, great snorkeling at the Reef, and some of the whitest sand in the world. There's actually a beach in Australia that's in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the whitest sand in the world. So, Ben, what makes the beaches in Australia so amazing?
Oh well, they're beautiful. They're sandy. They're not little stones like you would have in some European beaches. So all our beaches are sand beaches. I can tell you my favorite beach in Australia is Manly Beach, and I like that because it's a surf beach on one side, and on the other side, it's a flat beach, which is perfect for families. It's actually where the Manly to Sydney ferry docks.
What was the name of that beach,
Uh,
Ben?
which one?
Manly?
The flat
It,
beach,
no,
Manly Beach.
is that only for men, or can women go there too?
No, it's a woman only beach, but it's called Manly Beach.
All right, interesting. You do things the other way down in Australia, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. We're really backwards here in Australia. I thought you knew
Toilets
that.
flush the other way. Beaches go the
Toilets
other way.
flush the other way.
Yeah.
Manly is femalely or
Right.
something. But honestly, if you're going to Manly Beach and you're a tourist and you're in Sydney, take the Manly or the Manly Sydney to Manly Beach. Let me start again. Take the Sydney to Manly ferry that departs from Circular Quay. Circular Quay. I always say Circular Quay, but it's Circular Quay, and that passes the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, and all the famous things that you would see
Yeah.
when you're in Sydney. Yeah, like that
Circular
picture
Quay's
there.
right there. Actually,
So-
those are the ferry docks.
Yeah,
right
that's
there
Circular
down at the
Quay
bottom.
right there. Yep.
Right.
And
But
that's
it's
probably the Manly ferry departing.
yeah, and Ben pronounced it as Quay because it's spelled Quay. Who came up with that? Where in what world does that make sense?
I don't know. That doesn't sound like key, does it?
What is a key anyway?
I think like an inlet or like an area of water. I don't know.
Okay, good. Hey, you know more than I do.
Thanks, mate. Well, I'll give your listeners a few other really great beaches to go to in Australia. They might actually come up with some in the comment section. But Bondi Beach is great. That's in Sydney. That's known for having all the fit and sexy people that flex their muscles there and stuff. You've got Bells Beach, which is home to the Bells Beach Classic. That's in Victoria. You've got Cape Woolamaya. That's a famous surf beach in Phillip Island. Famous because it nearly took Travel Man Ben's life. You got Noosa Heads.
How did that almost take Travel Man Ben's life?
All right, Travel Man Ben at the time was about 12 years old, and Travel Man Ben went too far out, and he got taken by the current right out, probably a good kilometre and a half from shore. And I had some lovely surf rescue men pick me up or pull me into the boat. And at the time I said, "No, I'm right, mate. I'm right. I don't need any help." And then I realised how far the beach was away. And I knew that if they wouldn't have gotten me, I probably would have been out there with all the great whites. So yeah, that wouldn't have been a great thing, Chris.
I'm glad they got you back. Lifeguards are pretty great, aren't they?
They are the best. They are the best. A shout out for all the lifeguards out there.
Definitely.
Let's
see.
Yep,
in
go,
the
mate.
comments, people say Bradley Hodges says Manly and Bondi Beach. Captain Clam says Bondi. Thank you. Queensland or
Bondi.
Perth for beaches. Philip Baker
Yep.
says he loves the Gold Coast the best.
Oh yeah, fair enough. That's nice.
Aussie says skip Bondi. Bondi? Bondi.
Bondi.
Skip Bondi.
Whatever. No, it's Bondi. It's Bondi. So just pretend it's an E at the end of Bondi. Okay.
Okay.
Then you'll stop saying Bondi.
Kevin wants to know about some real frequently used Aussie slang.
Right. Okay. Oh, Sheila. It's a woman.
So you refer to a woman as a
Uh,
Sheila?
oh yeah, all the time. My wife's a Sheila. She's a bit of a Sheila sometimes.
That's not her name, though, is
Uh, no, it's not. Her name's Mandy. True Blue, like a True Blue Aussie is like a fair dinkum Aussie, which is like, do you know what fair dinkum means?
it? No.
Or struth?
No.
Means just fair dinkum's like, oh, cool. Struth is like, oh no, or like, oh, I was going to say this. And what else? What else can we say? Oh, there's a bunch. If you're having a few Britneys, you're having a beer, but that's Britney Spears, like a beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, and we've got more
yeah.
language coming up, right? In one of these
We have
numbers.
more language coming up.
Yeah, right. That's right. It's like number 17 or 18 or I don't know, but stay tuned. There'll be even more slang. Kirk.
So I had a few more beaches. Yeah, Kirk.
Answer
What's
Kirk's
saying?
question, and then you can go to the rest of the beaches.
All right, 1 second.
This is
Kirk.
always one of these great questions.
What did Kirk say?
He said-
hello, my name is Ninja.
He says, "Hello, my ninja.
Oh, hello, my ninja.
Is
Sorry.
prostitution legal in Australia? I'm asking for a friend." Smiley face.
So, Kirk.
Or Kirk's friend, as it may be.
Yeah, sure, Kirk. Sure, Kirk. Of course, parts of prostitution is legal. I guess if you're in a brothel, you can have legal copulation with a lady or a man, whatever you prefer, Kirk. I mean, your friend. Sorry. Yeah, of course. I mean, all the street stuff's illegal. But who goes to a street one?
Okay, finish up your
know,
beaches,
Chris.
Ben. Now that Kirk's taken us down that dark alley.
He's taken us down a dark alley.
Yes.
So the other beaches I was going to quickly just talk about was Noosa Heads in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Port Douglas, which is in far north Queensland. That's about an hour and a half drive from Cairns. That's great to go to, but watch out for the irukandji jellyfish. They can kill you, but they're only found in the waters around November to May. So just be careful when you're there. Cottesloe Beach in Perth. It's a great beach to swim in, although when I was there, they spotted 2 sharks. So they've got this shark siren that goes off if they spot sharks. One was a hammerhead, and I think the other was a tiger. So the siren goes off, you have to run in.
You know what our
a
shark
couple of
siren
other
usually
cool
sounds like
Yep.
here in the U.S.? It's usually someone yelling,
Yeah.
"Shark, run!" That's usually what our shark siren sounds like, yeah.
Some people in Australia just say that as a joke, so people run out.
So that they have the beach all
Yeah,
to
we're
themselves.
very nice there.
Yeah,
exactly. And just 2 more beaches that I tend to like whenever I'm in certain parts of Australia is Glenelg's main beach, which is in South Australia, Adelaide, and Port Wollonga Beach, which is near McLaren Vale, and there's a great fish and chip shop called Star of Greece. But if you want to see some of the best beaches, untouched reefs, then you've got to go to Ningaloo Reef, which has about 700,000 hectares of reef, and it's a World Heritage Site. It's very cool. But the Great Barrier Reef's the most famous one.
Very cool. Kelstar
you,
gave
sir.
a serious response to Manly Beach, and apparently
yeah?
Captain Arthur Phillip, the first governor of New South Wales, said the Aboriginals looked manly as they sailed into the harbor, so they named it that.
Oh. Well, that's cool,
Interesting.
I guess. I always feel sorry for the Aboriginals.
Because
Well, because they were treated very unfairly, but that's another thing.
That's
we
a whole
can get
nother
into
episode?
Another time.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, no, you don't want to go into that.
Chinmay's going to bed, so good night, Chinmay.
Whoops. Good night.
Related to slang, let's see.
Yeah.
No, we saw that one before. Shed Chick says, "How about dead set or yeah nah?"
Oh yeah, yeah, nah. Yeah, nah means yeah, I think, and nah, yeah means nah, or the other way around. I always forget because I just say yeah, nah, nah, yeah, whenever.
All right.
They both mean no and yes to me.
Yeah, the first time I had dinner with Ben and his wife, I was keying on that was like one of their favorite phrases. I'm like, "Do you like this?" Yeah, nah. What is it? Is it yeah or is it nah?
It's
All
nah,
right.
yeah. It's whatever. It's like, oh yeah,
All right, let's go on.
nonchalance.
Let's go on to number 4. The fourth reason to visit Australia that ties into beaches, it's about public pools on the beach. So like it's a thing in Australia to basically build swimming pools right on the sand, right on the beach. Like these concrete kind of barricades on the beach so that the waves aren't quite as big. If you've ever been to Hawaii, like to Waikiki, there's a couple of these in Waikiki, because sometimes the waves there can be kind of big. But Ben, have you swam in any? Have you swam or have you swum? Ben and I once had a great conversation about what the past tense of swim is, whether it's swam or swum or swimmed. Okay, over to you, Ben.
It's not swimmed.
It's not swimmed.
Well,
All
it's
right.
definitely not swimmed.
Okay, good.
You can go either way with swam and swum. So I don't know. I think I used swam on my podcast title once. Now I have swum or swam at one of the beaches, which is called the Blue Pool, and that's located in Bermagui, New South Wales. There's a really cool rock pool slash swimming pool that's been carved out naturally by obviously the ocean and the waves just crashing against the side of the cliff, and it's kind of made a rock pool. You can swim in it, but it's there's signs everywhere saying when the waves are high, it's very dangerous because the waves come right over the edge of the rocks, and the rocks are all natural rocks. So you can get pushed around inside this not man-made, it's real rock pool with a little bit of concrete steps that go inside it. And in relation to the pool in Bondi, which I think you were talking about, I've never swum in it, but I've walked past it a dozen times. So that's just got lanes in it. It's a lap pool
Oh,
that's
interesting.
right on the edge of the water.
Yeah.
And the water does seem to sometimes wash over it. But saying that, I would say that that pool would be not chlorinated, it'd be seawater
Right?
because it would be too hard to chlorinate it, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
no, that's pretty cool, Paul. I haven't swum in it, so I can't really go on further about that. But if you're ever in New South Wales or going to Sydney and want to go south, go to Bermagui. It's about 3 or 4 hours, I guess, drive, and it's called the Blue Pool. It's really cool.
Kevin David asks,
cool
are these
pool.
public pools actually clean?
No, everyone weighs in them. Well, Kevin, you don't have to worry about the rock pool because all that gets flushed out. But the pool in Bondi, yeah, you'd have to be a little bit worried. But yeah, you always hear the story of kids, doing their business. But yeah, I don't know, doesn't happen too much. I'm
Kelstar
not really
says
au fait with that stuff.
Kelstar says they're clean, but not after rain, which would make sense from the storm runoff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Kirk is going to ask you, what's the temperature right now, and do you guys have Amazon?
We have Amazon. Yep, we just got Amazon the other day. Well, a couple of months ago. And Kirk, the Fahrenheit. Well, I can tell you. Hold on one second, Kirk. I'm just going to go to my handy phone here, and we're going to look up the weather. We're going to do a live weather recording. So it's 19.5 degrees, and it's 3:20 p.m. So it's a little bit of a cooler summer day at the moment, but it's very humid at the moment. So
That's
it's
71 Fahrenheit, approximately.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's what
71.
Google. That's what Google told me when I typed in Melbourne weather. I didn't do the math.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an interesting comment from Grovel. Grovel says, whenever you talk to an Australian, they sound like they want to fight you. Grovel, do you think
Yeah,
Ben
that's
wants to
true.
fight you? Do you want to fight
Yeah.
everybody,
Do I
Ben?
want to? All the time. Yeah. It's just natural. I'm always just so angry.
Kirk asked you a question about McDonald's. Vodka.
Oh yeah.
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 He asks, is
What are you
McDonald's called
drinking?
Maccers? I'm drinking tea,
Yeah,
jasmine
sure
tea,
is.
for my soothe my throat here.
Oh, yeah. But it wouldn't be spelled Mackers. It'd be like Maccas, Mack or Maccas, Maccas, like that, like Justin just put in. And yeah, we have Maccas, and we bring out all our own lines of McDonald's. We always have the original Big Mac and Quarter Pounder, which I think the Americans do. But when I've been in the US, I can't find a Macca's anywhere, so I just go to In-N-Out, which is the best. In-N-Out,
Which is what a
the
hamburger
best.
is all about. In-N-Out. Not sponsored by In-N-Out.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows who watches this. I just love In-N-Out Burger. Stan
But
K asks,
yep.
what is the best beer in Australia and how much is a pint?
Well, a pint's about $6 no, wait, $10. $10 Australian for a pint, usually. And best beer in Australia would be...
Why don't you
that's a
show
good
off some of the ones you
question.
got there, Ben? Cause
Yeah, is it time?
well, at this rate, let's see. We might not make it to 19, so this might be a be a
Wait,
twofer.
Stan K.
Yeah.
He's my friend.
Uh-huh.
Stan is my friend. Now I know why you asked the question. So I love this one. Young Henry's.
Young
Newtowner
Henry's.
Ale. Can you see that? Yep. So, how about I just open this up on air
Yeah, why
and
don't you
have
do
a
that?
taste?
That sounds good.
Hold on. I'll just show the other ones first. Or maybe I'll open this one. Everyone has to decide on which one for me to open. Keiju Crush Beer. Very tasty. Very tasty. So this one is brewed in Melbourne, and it's a beautiful tasting tropical pale ale. Back to this one. This one is Young Henry's. It's like a pale ale, Australian pale ale, very tasty. And another one at the moment that I'm enjoying is Wild Yak Pacific Ale. These all are ales, and they're all very tasty. So maybe if we get some quick votes, I'll open one of them. Otherwise, I'll just open whatever I want.
Okay, so guys, let Ben know which beer you'd like him to open.
And then I'll tell you what it tastes like, because I'm
All
pretty
right.
good at that. I'll describe the beer.
Yippee says he likes Foster's, the oil can.
Yeah? Yeah, you like to pour Foster's down the drain? It's terrible stuff, Foster's.
It's that good.
I think that's what he's probably meaning. Oh, we don't have Foster's here. Foster's is something that Australian pubs overseas stock.
What about
Stone and Wood? Yeah, that's nice. Sorry, Chris, you were going to say what about Stone and Wood?
Yeah, no, Captain Clam says VB, as he's from Victoria.
Well, Vic Bitter is the most manufactured beer you can drink. So if you like drinking caramel and water, go for it.
Shed Chick says Stan K. Cooper's Green is best Aussie beer.
She's saying to Stan that Cooper's Green is best.
Got it.
Yeah, Cooper's is nice. Cooper's is nice.
Okay.
Yeah, but so have we got any votes?
Yes, we have some votes. Let's see. Yippee votes for Young. Aussie Carnet votes for Young Henry's. Woofy votes for Wild Yak. Tanner votes for Young Henry's. I'm going to say that's 3 votes for Young Henry's. So I think Young Henry's is the winner.
I'll open up Young Henry's then.
Okay.
So I'll do this live on video. So that's open. Look at this little cute little bottle. Isn't that cool?
What is that little bottle?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's just a Soul bottle opener.
Oh,
So
very good.
I should have known this would happen. But... Oh, that's tasty. That's a very good Australian pale ale. So if anyone here is in Australia, then get Young Henry's, because I believe that's a decent drop. Absolutely decent drop. So that is beautiful. Oh, yeah. But I've made a bit of a mess here, Chris.
Hey, that's okay. Let's see. There was a question from Grovel. Grovel asks, "Do you drink your beers warm in Australia?"
Never. They're always really cold because our climate is quite warm. So we do like our beers very cold. And I would say that we drink less beer in winter than we would in summer, naturally, as we are big wine drinkers as well. Australians love wine.
Kirk asks, "What's your favorite Australian Hollywood movie?"
Hollywood movie. That's a good question. I love a lot of Hollywood directors. Well, a lot of American directors, but my favorite Australian. Does he mean like a Mad Max or something?
Well, he also asks this question. He asks if Crocodile Dundee is revered in your country. So I'm assuming a movie that features Australia in it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you now. I would say that Crocodile Dundee isn't.
He's not a hero in Australia?
No, he's not.
But he's
Well,
got a
unless
big
you're from
knife.
far north Queensland. Yeah, well, he looks like a proper far north Queensland truckie that's been going for 12 hours, hasn't had a stop. That's what you'd see driving through Central Australia.
Nice.
Someone tagging you, following you. But yeah, it's funny because people think that the Crocodile Dundee type of character, just like what you were saying earlier, is the type of person that you would see just walking the streets in Melbourne, or different Australian cities, and it's quite the opposite. But he's all right, Crocodile Dundee. I know he does have a proper name, but I forgot his name.
I
But
don't
I tell
remember.
you, yeah, go on.
I don't remember his name either. So tell us.
Yeah, so tell us, because I forgot his name. But I would say Steve Irwin was more revered.
Which is the crocodile hunter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think most Australians were hurt when he passed away. We really loved him.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I did too. I think he was pretty awesome.
He was cool.
Grovel asks about the beer. Since I'm from Cali, will he light one up on air? I guess you mean about maybe marijuana being legalized? No. I'm kind of really more of a teetotaler than anything. So I've got tea over here in this glass. I've got some ginger ale. I've got like all these really
You make me
foofy
want to open up
beverages.
another beer.
Right.
Oh,
Let's
jeez,
see.
I've got such a mess down here. Jeez.
Justin Thomas says The Matrix was filmed in Australia. The city scene was Sydney.
Sydney.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't know that.
That was pretty cool. I love the Matrix.
That is cool. Eric asks how my weekend is, and I'll say actually a little bit on the lousy side since I got sick this weekend, but it's okay. I'm trying my best through this if my voice sounds different. And I added this new thing for this live stream. I put these buttons here that says mute and talk so that when I need to cough, and then you can't hear me when I cough, and that way I'm not coughing in your ears. All
They
right.
can't hear me either, though.
No, right. Well, Ben's not coughing,
So,
luckily.
can you mute it? I need to cough.
No, when I mute, it just mutes me. So I need to add another button
Yeah.
to mute you. All right. Kirk asks if there is IKEA in Australia.
Absolutely. Yeah, I go to IKEA frequently. All the shelving behind me is IKEA
Yeah,
with all the board games. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Very cool. You have a lot of board games
And
behind you there, Ben.
yeah, I have lots.
Do you have a favorite
bit
board
of
game?
well, I like Catan, but then
Settlers of
I
Catan.
like a lot of Settlers of Catan. But yeah, I like a lot of board games. Probably, jeez, hard to say, Chris. Hard to say, sir. I like Ticket to Ride. That's a cool game that most people would know of. But then all the rest are all Euro games and stuff. So I'm a big gamer, so yeah. But games go this way and that way. So yeah.
A lot of
It's
games.
quite a big shelf of games. Yeah, heaps.
Yeah. Shed
Heaps,
Chick
heaps.
gives 3 hearts for Steve Irwin that unfortunately don't show up when I put it on this screen because I guess the hearts don't come by.
It's three
But Shed
squares.
Chick also says Crocodile Dundee has not been good for Australia. We just can't live it down.
Yeah, it's been terrible for us. Yeah, that's why I didn't really like it. Yeah,
Kirk asks,
because
what about
it portrays us as... Yeah, go on.
Kirk asks, what about 7-Eleven in Australia?
You mean 711? That's the address for Paul Hudson or whatever his name, Hogan. Now 7-Eleven, yeah, we got plenty of those in Australia. We got a lot of the American franchises. We just don't have the best ones like In-N-Out and Shake Shack.
Finish your Crocodile Dundee comment because Kelstar says Crocodile Dundee is awesome. It's been great for Australia. And that should be a smiley face, not a square.
You know what? Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. That's fair enough. I'm not here to quabble, especially about Crocodile Dundee. I really thought I was on here to talk more about classic Australia.
All right.
American
So
Australia.
let's talk about number 5 then. The 5th reason to visit Australia is for koalas. Koalas are so cute. They live in eucalyptus trees and they sleep like 20 hours a day. Ben, what's the best way to see koalas in Australia?
Well, when they're not dropping down on your heads, you know, and trying to kill you.
So I hear they
carry
eat your
diseases.
brains. Is that the urban legend?
They eat your brains, the drop bears. Yeah, the urban legend of the drop bears. But they're cute and cuddly, and what's the best way to see them? Best way, or the only way at the moment, is going to a zoo, because a lot of koalas, especially down at Phillip Island and other places, they've been removed. I think they were killing the environment or something, maybe. But they've been removed and they're now either deceased, been sent away to China, or they're at zoos.
And are they killing the environment because they eat too many? I just had to play that. I just had to play that video again because I just
play it again.
That's like
so
the
cute.
scene of a koala, right? Just eating the eucalyptus.
That's a
tree.
quintessential koala.
It is quintessential koala. That almost rhymes. You're a poet. Did you know it?
No. Let's put on a show.
All right. All about koalas.
Okay.
So if you want to see koalas, you
Koalas.
basically got to go to a zoo, right? That's what you're
Yeah,
telling me.
you have to go to zoo. Absolutely.
And can you hold koalas? Can you pet koalas? Are they cute and cuddly?
Well, under supervision at a zoo, you can hold koalas, but I've never held one, so I don't know. I guess they would be kind of cuddly. They wouldn't be as cuddly as my new kitten, though.
They
Yeah.
probably would not. You're right. Justin Thomas says you can find koalas in suburban Brisbane, particularly around Daisy
Really?
Hill. Okay.
Wow, there you go. That's kind of cool. I'll have to get myself up to Daisy Hill. Check out some drop bears. That's cool. Yeah, cool.
And Kirk apparently says, I heard a large population of koalas have herpes. Or maybe it was gonorrhea. Because maybe they were participating in that legal prostitution. I'm not sure. Devin Duncan asks,
yes.
Is this a question? Are koalas mean when?
No,
Ben,
not really.
are koalas mean when?
Koalas mean when? They're always mean. No, I don't know. Are they mean? I don't know. I've never asked a koala or been in a fight with one, so yeah.
I mean, I guess they are if they drop out of trees and eat your brains,
Well, there you go. My zombie koalas, they're the worst.
They are.
Oh, chlamydia, that's the one. Captain Clam's on the money.
Okay.
They carry chlamydia.
All right, let's go on to number 6. The 6th reason to visit Australia is for the Asian food. So we touched about this a little earlier when somebody asks what our favorite Australian food is. And Ben kind of had a hard time with that, thinking about his
Describing,
favorite. Yeah, describing what it is, or even thinking about his favorite, because frankly, the Asian food is just so good in Australia. I always get laksa, which is kind of like a Malaysian soup. But Ben, is all the Asian food in Australia amazing, or just the Southeast Asian food, since you are so close to the likes of Indonesia, Thailand, etc.?
Well, I would say all Asian food is good. You can eat really tasty Chinese food in Melbourne. You can Vietnamese food. We've got a whole street dedicated to Vietnamese food that's in Melbourne. It's called Victoria Street in Richmond. We've got great Malaysian, Singaporean restaurants here in Melbourne. Look, I'm being quite Melbourne centric when I'm talking about Asian food. I'm not as au fait as the Asian food that's sold, say, for instance, in Brisbane. I know I lived in Sydney for a bit, so I know they've got a ton of different quality Asian food. We've got a lot of famous Asian Australian chefs from different nationalities in Asia that are quite well known, that cook beautiful Asian food. Um, so yeah, I think probably the best Asian food outside of Asia could be Australia in general. I mean, you're always going to find a Chinese restaurant that's not very good and filled with all Anglo-Saxon people like me. That's usually a sign that it's not that good. You want to go to an Asian restaurant that has a lot of Asians in it. It's a good sign that the food quality is great because they want to eat good quality food. We get a lot of, well, actually, in my suburb, there's a couple of universities that have a lot of, I think, Chinese exchange students. So near me, there's some very good Asian restaurants where you have dumplings and stuff like that. Even our Indian food here is amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I think Australia's been having a lot of immigrants from China and the Asian countries, hasn't it? I mean, when I came to Melbourne, it seemed like a very multicultural, cosmopolitan place, unlike Crocodile Dundee might portray.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very metropolitan place, and you would have found that if you were there longer, I would have showed you more restaurants. So yeah, we've got a ton of great Asian food. There's Taiwanese food in the city, as you had in one of your videos once, the Australian food one. You were showing all the different little Asian restaurants and little fast food joints, and
Hmm.
I didn't know of some of them. Yeah, you shot me new stuff, so that's great. But yeah, come to Australia if you want Asian food. There you go.
Very good. Well, Shed Chick answered the question earlier about what's a great place to hold koalas. Apparently, there's a Feather Date Wildlife Park in Sydney where you can hold koalas, but they can be vicious. Yeah. And let's see. SoCal Seth just joined in. He just popped by to say hi. Knock and Scratch. Knock and Scratch, Setch.
Thank
Welcome. Hope you're well. Been feeling a little bit better, a little under the weather with the cold, but can't complain. All things considering. Captain Clam comments and says Ben is sounding a bit drunk. Yeah, Ben, something's up with your audio of the last 2 minutes. I'm not sure if anything changed of your microphone or if just the internet
It's
gods are
probably
not
just
being
the
kind to
beer
us.
all over it.
Oh, that sounds better now. Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably because I was away from the mic.
yeah. Okay, good.
Does it sound better now?
It sounds better to me. Are you opening up the next one, Kaiju Crush?
I'm opening up the next one.
All right, that sounds
So
good.
by the end of this video, I hope to be absolutely slaughtered.
All right. Well, I'll say we have 12
That's a
minutes
term.
left. So slaughtered.
That's all right. I can drink 2 and 12.
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody hear Ben now? Does he sound better?
Do I sound
All right.
better?
Yeah. Let's go on to number 7. The 7th reason to visit Australia is for the deserts. Australia, you can take a road trip through the outback. No, not the steakhouse. Outback, the desert that is in the center of Australia. Ben, I'm curious, have you taken a drive through the outback?
Does it look like I have?
Do you have a knife?
No, mate. I only have beers. So if you're an Australian, you're going out in the outback, the one thing you need is water and beer, and you should be right for days.
Water and beer.
So,
That's all you need, right?
Water and beer. I don't live close enough to a desert, to be honest with you. I would have to drive hours and hours and hours to get closer to a desert. If I'm here, that's all right. Everyone can hear me. Cool, cool. So, yeah, no one really goes to deserts, Chris.
Unless they're truck drivers.
Yeah, well, unless they're truck drivers, but I don't think many truck drivers have to drive through the desert.
What about
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. What about if
Yep.
they're going from one side of Australia to the other? Like, it's like I hear like Australia, like we see these shows on the Discovery Channel here about like the road trains,
Yeah.
like these trucks that have like 4 or 5 trucks on them.
Yeah, they're road trains and they are very long, and you'll only find them in the outback. But look, I don't know enough about those road trains or the trajectory or their route that they take through Australia. They might have to go through Central Australia, but I think they go more southern central because there's not many roads going right through from Sydney to Perth. You'd have to make your way south.
Ben, Captain Clam
You
is
know what I
telling
mean?
you.
Like, yeah.
Captain Clam is telling you,
Yeah.
you need to see the outback. That's what he says.
All right, maybe he can take me there.
Clement joined in, says hello from Singapore. Hello, Clement.
Hello, Clement.
Tanner asks, could you do something like dune buggies in the desert?
Probably. That sounds awesome. I'm feeling a lot happier now. This is great.
Kirk asks, do a lot of Australians vacation in Bali?
Absolutely, heaps. In Melbourne, we call some of the flights from Melbourne to Bali the Bell Street bus. Bell Street's a very popular street in Melbourne's north, and you'll see a lot of young people with tats and stuff with singlets on the plane to Bali. We like to call them yobbos in Australia.
Yobbos?
Those type of yobbo, meaning a drongo. Do you know what a drongo is?
No, what's a drongo?
What would you?
Is it like a didgeridoo?
A drongo.
No.
Nah, it's not a didgeridoo. A drongo is a type of person that's a little bit slow or backwards,
Okay.
who's not civilized as much. Yeah, so that's what a drongo is.
Kirk asks, Ben, what car do you drive? Is it a 4-wheel drive?
It is actually a 4-wheel drive. I drive a Nissan Navara, which has another name in America because I've seen them. They're like a Nissan. It's a Nissan pickup. There you go. If you're in America, it's a Nissan pickup.
Kirk asks if it snows anywhere in Australia.
Sure does. Snows in the mountains, so northeastern Victoria is where it snows. It will only snow in winter, and also southern New South Wales it snows, as well as Tasmania snows as well.
Yippee just wanted to let us know
As he
he's been
snows.
to Outback Steakhouse, which is good. Do you like
I
Outback
wish
Steakhouse?
I could go to an out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go to an Outback Steakhouse.
Justin
That sounds
says
awesome.
Bali is Australia's Cancun. Ben, you were recently in Cancun, weren't you? Did you go to Cancun when you went to Mexico?
I went south of Cancun, an hour away. I went to Playa del Carmen, which is awesome. Cancun seems to be a little bit more dangerous. They've had the terror threats there. So, I don't know. You have to, but to get to Playa del Carmen, you have to still fly into Cancun.
Okay.
So
That's their big
look,
airport.
Cancun looks nice. Yeah, big airport.
Aussie Carnet says Australia's big, takes around 4 days to drive from Brisbane to Perth. That's a long time. And Shed Chick
Yeah, well,
says,
it's the same.
yeah,
Yep.
the desert's not a destination. I guess maybe just look at drone footage or something. So
Yeah, just look at drone footage. Someone stupid's been out there to take some drone footage. So yeah, just look at their stuff.
Nathan
But,
asks you,
it's-
what's the currency like in Australia?
It's pretty crappy. It's 72 or 71 to the dollar at the moment. So
But I
it's
think-
not very good.
But I say unrelated to the exchange rate, I think the actual bills are kind of neat, right? Because they're like plasticky
Oh,
and
right.
they're
Is
like
that what-
colorful and
Yeah,
different
well-
sizes.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
our bills are beautiful looking.
yeah.
And I don't have my wallet on me, so I can't pull out a bill.
Yeah, but they're like
unfortunately.
colorful and they've got like plastic in them, and I think the Australian dollar is like the
They're not paper. Yeah.
least counterfeited currency in the world, something like that.
That and the New Zealand, that and the Canadian dollar, because I think we also print Canadian as well.
Kirk said his brother just got back from Bali, and he said there were young, disrespectful Australian folks everywhere.
I'm not surprised. They can be like that. They can be a bit wild, the Aussies. Probably just like the Americans in Cancun.
I'm
And the
sure.
British in, what's that little island off Spain that's very famous? It's it's an area where they go clubbing and drinking and stuff. Maybe someone in the comments.
I know what you
I
mean.
forgot the
I
name.
can't think of it off the top of my head. Ah,
Use
Clement
that cough
asks,
button, Chris.
I need to, yes. That's what happens when I don't use the cough button. Ah, Clement says, which destination in Australia is the best place to visit?
Melbourne, obviously. Oh, Clement, come to Melbourne. You'll have a great time. Where else is well, look, to be honest, everywhere in Australia is great and everywhere is different. So you'll find if you went to Brisbane or far north Queensland, which is Cairns and so forth, it's totally different to Melbourne, as in Sydney's totally different as well. I don't know. I'm being biased a little bit. I would say Melbourne, in my opinion, is the greatest place to come, but I was born here. So that's my opinion. But if you're doing Australia for the first time and you've got a couple of weeks, maybe do 5 or 6 nights in Melbourne, 5 or 6 in Sydney, or break it up and do a bit less in both and do Brisbane, or you can do the Eastern Seaboard pretty easily. And then it takes a while from Melbourne to Perth. It's about 3 hour flight. So
Very good. Well, for
I
what
don't
it's
know.
worth, Ben,
Most people just stick to the
yeah,
southeast.
Aussie agrees with you. Melbourne is tough to beat, he says. Though Halo Track Studio says Sydney is the best. Well, hey, you know what time it is? It is time for the giveaway. And so we're giving away the shirt. Let me get rid of that comment there. We're giving away one of these Yellow Production shirts. So I'm going to ask you a question that we talked about earlier in the stream, just like I do every time. And the first person who answers this question correctly, I will ship you this shirt anywhere in the world. The question is, what is the top speed of a kangaroo in kilometers per hour? What is the top speed of a kangaroo kilometers per hour? The first person to answer correctly about what the top speed of a kangaroo in kilometers per hour wins this Yellow Productions shirt. Who's it going to be? That's the question. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And I'll say, if nobody gets the exact answer, then it's whoever's closest. But we did say the exact answer in number 1, talking about kangaroos.
We did, actually.
Right. Grovel said it's 30 kilometers, which is
Justin Thomas.
All right, Justin Thomas, He's
win.
A winner. 60 kilometers per hour. Very good, Justin.
That's the one.
Yeah. So Justin, you win a Yellow Production shirt. Let me know how you want me to send it to you. Don't leave your address on YouTube so everybody gets it. You can send me a message on Facebook, or you can send me an email to chris@yellow.net. It's got 2 W's. Does this shirt have 2 W's? Yeah, like this. YELLEWW.net. Just like that shirt, too. That one has 1. All right. Yeah, everybody always asks, Chris, why do you have 2 W's and sometimes you have 1? When I started my channel, it had 2 W's because it was sort of like yellow. But then YouTube would spell correct it. When anybody would type in yellow with 2 W's, it would autocorrect it and be like, oh, you mean 1 W, right? So that's what we got.
No one has any issues with Travel Man Podcast.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of that, so if you guys enjoyed listening to Ben Down in the comments section, if you kind of scroll to the bottom of it, you'll find some links where you can follow Ben on his Travel Man podcast. You can follow him on iTunes, Libsyn, Facebook, a whole bunch of other places. The links kind of look like that down the bottom. Next live stream, I don't know, I haven't scheduled it yet, but if you follow me on Facebook, I do them on Mondays. I probably won't do it through the holidays here. A lot of people are busy with Christmas and New Year's coming up. Ben, we only made it through 7. Are you willing to come back to finish this for 10 more reasons to visit Australia?
Absolutely, Chris. This is the best.
Okay, very cool. Super awesome. Ben, thank you very much for being on. Yeah, it was super great talking to you. I'm totally glad you're enjoying the bridge. You just got a kitten, right? Didn't you, Ben?
Yeah. Does anyone want to see it?
Yeah. Does anybody want to see Ben's kitten? I mean, I want to see Ben's kitten. So Ben, bring your kitten out. We'll conclude because YouTube was made for cats, right? And so Ben's gonna go get his kitten, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, Captain Clam, so I'm going to kill some time while Ben's getting his kitten. Captain Clam says we didn't talk about zoos. You're right, zoos was number... Oh, it was on our list. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about zoos. Zoos is number 11 on the list. So it'll be in the 10 more reasons. Kirk says Google doesn't agree with the speed you are stating. Kirk, that was Wikipedia's answer. Wikipedia said the top speed is 60 kilometers per hour. Halo Track Studios says, read my last comment. The Halo Track. All right. There's a kitten. All right. Show us your kitten. What's the name of the kitten, Ben? Does your kitten have a name, Ben?
Yep, it's Remy.
Remy. There's
It's
Remy. Yeah.
Remy.
Very good.
So he's little.
Hi, little Remy.
He's just chilling out.
I think we should totally start our next stream with Remy because kittens just get more ratings on YouTube, you know?
All right. Oh, look at him. He's stretching.
Yeah. Oh,
he's tired. That's why.
Oh, so cute.
I know, he's the best.
If this was your first time here to the live stream, you want to be notified of new ones, make sure to subscribe, click that bell to turn on notifications. You'll get notified of future live streams. Check out Ben, and we'll see you for one of our next ones, which will be 10 more reasons to visit
He's a spider killer for sure.
Australia. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.